Hello and welcome to Frugal Over 50. I'm Amy and I'm happy to welcome you here to my channel where we talk about everything related to frugality, minimalism, and intentional living, especially aimed at the needs of the mature woman. On this channel, I spend a lot of time talking about my own personal journey as I aim to become more frugal, more minimal, and more intentional during my own mature years. And this video will be a follow-up to the series that I started the whole channel with. Back in February of 2019, I started the channel with a bang with a cash envelope system that I hadn't used since I was in my 20s, and I'm in my 50s now. It was an experiment, and I loved it so much that I went out and bought myself a special wallet on sale that had enough slots where I could put cash in every week, and then every month I report to you the results of my now growing cash envelope system. This has been such a success that I really wanted to follow it up with a next step. That is to say, I didn't want to just leave it there because I was so happy with how it worked out that I wanted to ask myself, okay, so what's next? Cash envelope, we like it. 2 thumbs, way up. So what do I do next? Well, I have decided to think about how I am saving money, how I am paying off debt, and how I am planning for true expenses. So let me talk to you today about each of these categories. Saving. In this category, I am not so much thinking about the big savings picture of, say, planning for retirement. What I'm talking about here is the kind of savings that often gets called savings, just plain old savings, like where you have a savings account. More recently, I've heard from people who are very into Dave Ramsey. They'll talk about it as an emergency fund. I tend to gravitate towards the YNAB, or you need a budget system and terminology. And so in YNAB, they call it a rainy day fund. But whatever you call it, whether you call it just, your basic boring savings account where you put money away, or whether you call it an emergency fund, or whether you call it a rainy day fund, it's the same thing. It's just how much cash do you feel like you need to have on hand at any given time so that you can easily pay for emergencies or unusual things that come up. And I have a very small rainy day fund, small for me. It's got the amount that Dave Ramsey recommends, plus a little bit more, and that sort of shifts up and down. In my ideal world, I would probably have a whole lot in there, but that's not my reality right now. And so I would like to beef that up and keep it growing so that if I then have to draw down on it, I have an automated way to refill it. Now, that takes care of how I'm thinking about savings. When I'm thinking about debt, I am not thinking about my mortgage or my home equity line of credit that I used to do some updates to my house to make it livable when I first bought it. I'm talking about the kind of debt that I have had a habit of getting into over the last 5 or 10 years. And it's basic consumer debt. It's the boring kind of consumer debt that nobody wants us to get into and that I have tended to get into and then out of and then into and then out of again. And I would like to have an automated way to pay off the remaining consumer debt that I have. I don't have what feels like a lot to me, but I have enough that I want to pay it off in installments in a 0% credit card, which I have, and so I want to automate how I do that. So that's savings, basic boring savings, emergency fund type savings, and paying off consumer debt. And then the third category here is what YNAB calls true expenses. And I really like this terminology because true expenses refers to expenses that are coming. They may not come monthly. They may come every other month, or they may come every quarter, every 6 months, every year. Those are those kinds of expenses that you just need to plan for. And so in the true expenses category, I have a number of things that I don't report to you folks about in detail because they don't really fit into my cash envelope system. The cash envelope tends to work really well for money that I have to spend weekly. But for the true expenses, bi-monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually, or even beyond, that needs its own place. And what I have decided to do is to save for each of those in YNAB in a particular way. Now, I had to sort of step back, look at my whole financial picture, thinking again that retirement savings, that's taken care of over here. The mortgage and the HELOC, that's taken care of over here. The weekly expenses, that's taken care of over here with the cash envelope. And the monthly expenses, that's taken care of over here with just basic boring, you need a budget. But if I want to really build up my emergency fund beyond where it is right now and where I feel comfortable, if I want to really get that consumer debt finally paid off, and if I want to really plan for my true expenses, those, intermittent things that I know are coming, I need a plan. I have a day job. The day job pays the bills. It pays for these big ones out here. It pays for the weekly stuff. It pays for just about everything. But I also have a side hustle over here. I teach lessons and I sometimes perform, and I get some money for that. And my question has always been, how do I allocate my side hustle money, and how do I think about allocating my larger paycheck? I'm very fortunate to have both a paycheck and a side hustle that I can play around with. So it's a wonderful thing. And what I have decided to do is start with my side hustle. So let me give you an example. So I taught a voice lesson and I got $30 for that voice lesson. Yay, it's $30 I didn't have. So what I have decided to do is to take that side hustle money. Let's say somebody gives me $30. $30 of that doesn't go all to one place, okay? $10 of it is going to savings, the emergency fund type savings, all right? $10 of that is going to paying off my remaining consumer debt, and $10 of that is going to one of my true expenses, the bi-monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, annual. Now, those of you who've been doing this for longer than I have, and many of you who are watching have, you'll probably be going, hang on, I have questions, comments, and notes. Put them in the comments. I'm eager to have your thoughts, your experiences, good or bad, things that you have stumbled on or that you have decided that work for you. Because I'm just beginning thinking about dividing my side hustle money into these three places. And what you can expect in the coming months is at the end of each month when I report to you on my cash envelope system, I'm also going to report to you how I did on savings, consumer debt, and true expenses. And I may or may not give you exact dollars for that because it's quite variable. But I'll tell you, did I do my 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 allocations, or did something come up where I had to do it a little bit differently? For now, I'm excited to introduce this to my life and to you, and this will go into my no spend / cash envelope series. I may have to retitle that whole series and call it My Financial Journal or something like that. But I'm really excited about this for myself, and I look forward to continuing to share it with you. So tell me what you think, whether you're thinking about savings, consumer debt, or paying off those expenses that you know about that are coming up every so often. How do you do it? What do you like? What do you recommend? If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. I'd love to have you subscribe. Click the little subscribe button, give this video a like, and click the notifications bell so you'll get notified of new videos, not only in this series of reports, but all subjects related to frugality, minimalism, and intentional living, especially aimed at the needs of the mature woman. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time so very, very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.